Hey, welcome back to the Aerospace Executive Podcast. I am really happy to have Suresh with me. Suresh Narayaman is the founder, CEO of Jets MRO. It's a new MRO down in Dallas. He's doing some really cool things down there to attract workforce, to take care of his workforce. We were talking about this the other day, and I can't think of a more competitive business to get into than the Bizjet MRO. But thanks, Suresh, for coming on. And I want to, let's talk about your story and kind of how you got there and what success looks like for you.
Just like you, most people are like, I left being an operator to start the maintenance business. It's not the most glamorous side of our industry, but I love it. The story of how I got here is I grew up in it. My dad was a Concorde mechanic. He had a repair station in Miami where I was born and raised. And I spent most of my summers just being around aviation. When I moved to Dallas, my older brother had started a company called AQRD. Does a lot of engineering, tech ops support, and composite repairs for a lot of bizjet, but military and commercial as well. And they had 2 Beach Starships, and I'm around aviation and crazy entrepreneurs throughout the family. So after I grew that business, I went on to be an operator for a little bit. So we had 77 aircraft, and that's kind of where I came up with the Jets MRO idea is the maintenance support. We just couldn't get aircraft out on time or on cost. And this was a kind of recurring theme throughout the 135 world with other operators. No one I asked before I opened the business, when I asked how maintenance is going, no one was like, it's going phenomenal. Everything's on time, on budget, like 0%.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we know what's going on. And I realized when I started digging into the issue that labor shortage was usually the common theme. Was it's a labor shortage and costs are up because of inflation. It was like a general excuse that I took it. So I started digging into that idea and go, okay, well, that sounds like an easy excuse. There's got to be more than that. Well, I realized turnover was a really untalked about issue throughout the mechanic population. Mechanics are jumping around a lot from job to job. And everyone assumed it was just pay. So I tried to take the extra step. I was doing diligence on the idea of starting Jets MRO, of saying, asking people, not a crazy concept, but going and surveying mechanics. So what are you not seeing throughout the companies you're leaving? And the 4 things were benefits, schedule, culture, and engaged leadership were the 4 things that folks were leaving to go to another business for. These turnover rates were approaching 50%. So 1 out of 2 mechanics were looking for another job or jumping. And so you think about the effect on the operator is a mechanic who knows an aircraft really well that takes, let's say, 20 hours to do a task, which is the appropriate time. He leaves and he or she gets a replacement who takes 40 hours to do the same task because they're new. Well, the customer pays for those 40 hours. So there's your cost overage, and the airplane's late when you multiply that at scale. And so Jets MRO is founded on the principles to fix those 4 issues from mechanics, which is just treat mechanics better so the customer gets a better service, better product, and on-time performance. Simple as that. Not reinventing how maintenance is done, just treating people better. Hopefully I can elevate how mechanics are treated and bring more focus to it. But the way we did it was like all our employees get free family benefits. So if they have 1 or 30 kids, it's free. That was the one thing that stressed them out is every year costs go up, and the company decided to take the brunt of that to help out. Schedule was a big thing. So when you're short staffed, you force folks to be on call, work overtime, and it affects our work-life balance. So we staffed our business 7 days a week from day one. We did not open until we had fixed staff every single day. And so right now we're open 7 days a week. What that allows us to do is we say no on call. So on the weekends, there's no on call because we have shifts here. Therefore, customers supported Monday through Sunday, whereas most businesses close on Friday or say they have on call over the weekend. So that's 2 extra days a week we're working aircraft, and most really aren't. Even though they say they're open, our Saturday looks like our Monday. And that allows folks to go home when they want, and go spend time with their family and not have to worry about forced overtime and being on call. And then I share my financials with all our employees. This is our key to really hit the culture, engaged leadership part. As part of the business is carved out to profit share with the employees, once we grow the business and get there as a new company. But I share the financials, so they see that path there. And I present to them once a month like our shareholders. So they see it all the way down to net profit or loss as we get going. And know what's going on with the business. So I think that's how we hit the 4 feedback items. And it's allowed us to recruit really experienced mechanics because they're looking for a place that addresses these things, challenges us to make sure we maintain that level of attention to mechanics. but allows us to grow and hire the right folks. That's the journey of how I got here, and why business jet MRO. People are like, well, you've done military and commercial. Well, I think the industry in the last 15 years, I call it the NetJets effect, where NetJets really pioneered this or grew it to scale. Is they took personal jets that you and me, you may fly a couple times a month, but they operate them nearly every day like an airline. That concept is taken off at scale now globally, and it's not going anywhere. If anything, there's more 135s doing the same thing, and now the demand for the lift is there daily on these aircraft that were not built for it, like a Part 25 regional jet or a big Boeing Airbus product. But that's what they're being used for. Well, the operator matured, and now they're operating more like airlines, but the aftermarket, OEMs, MRO, supply chain has not matured, in my opinion, as fast to keep up with it. So that's why I chose Bizjets. I think it's the most immature of the military commercial Bizjet segments. Therefore, there's the greatest opportunity to bring in principles from different aspects and scale a business professionally to help kind of catch up to where we should be in terms of supporting operators.
Yeah, it boggles my mind. The OEMs on the Bizjet side of the house. You look at NetJet's biggest Bombardier operator by far. A bunch of Challengers, Global Expresses, FlexJet's got a bunch, and plus they got Gulfstreams, and But you think about these the OEMs are still building these airplanes. Like, hey, average use is supposedly 400 hours a year, right? We build it for a 400-hour a year use. But then you look at these bigger operators flying 120 hours a month. And
I think they're getting better. I think the OEMs are trying to catch up. I think that's a good thing too. It's this industry, this new segment of our industry has taken off and isn't going anywhere. People are flying private every day or utilizing it for all kinds of missions. So that's good because it's forcing us to all grow in different aspects, but it's also challenging at the same time.
Yeah, no doubt. So how's the, so you talked about your benefit schedule, culture, leadership. For culture and leadership, what are you hiring for? How do you know a mechanic is going to fit? How do you know a mechanic is going to fit into your culture?
We hire for the team. So look, because we're competitive in some of these, recruiting, offerings, we're able to get a lot of good experience to apply. So that's a big thing. As a newer business, we're not hiring anyone new with their AMP yet until we have critical mass to have a proper apprenticeship program, training program. We don't want to rush that. I don't want labor to get labor. The biggest thing, I just talked to the team about this yesterday, is no matter how much experience any one person has, we're hiring to build a team. That's very different than just hiring the best individuals you can find. And I bring sports into business every day. And there's a lot of sports stuff behind me. I think it's the same in my head. It's like, okay, if I can build a team that works really well together and push them uncomfortably to a different professional level, then I've done my job as a leader. It's not just being the smartest person in the room and having all the answers, even though we're in a very technical world. It's also getting the best out of your team and how they work together. So I even told the team yesterday, I don't care how much experience any one person has. We want the experience, but we really hire how they fit with the team. So we have culture tests. We do in-person practicals. We really screen them to see how are they going to work with the team? Do they have the right goals for themselves personally? Can they get to their personal goals at our company? They align with our values. Those soft intangibles become super important because it really takes one person who may be the most brilliant technician individually to ruin the team. And so we really try to hire for what the team needs. Obviously, we need expertise on certain airframes. So that's all done through resume screening, right? But then the test is, can they get through the scrutiny of all the checks we have to make sure they have the best opportunity to be successful in the company. And that's us delivering for them as well.
What's the, how many mechanics do you have there now?
We're just over 20. I need 30 more if you know any out there. We've just moved into a new 40,000 square foot facility. This is our third week here, and we've been waiting for this for months. So now that we have the facility and we're getting a lot of attention, I think a lot of operators are looking for different maintenance options. Capacity is very limited in this region, and people are bringing aircraft from everywhere. We're trying to scale up as quickly as possible with maintaining the team and the kind of the core values we're focused on. And we don't want to throw too many bodies into a new operation. But we're trying to scale up to about 15 mechanics at this facility alone.
Interesting. So you were prior to Jets MRO, you were the COO of JSX.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, a very entrepreneurial, kind of forward-thinking airline.
Yeah, love their product. Yep.
How did you take that pioneer spirit? Did you and Alex develop that pioneering spirit? Is that what took you to Jet MRO and saying, hey, look, let's disrupt a little bit, let's do things different?
I think I've always been an entrepreneur. Obviously, growing a business with my brother that he started as my initial big aviation business, kind of growing into that field. Ever since I went out of undergrad, that was kind of my first, my most longest 10-year job was working with my brother and growing that business from where it was to what it is now. I think that it's always been the entrepreneur in my blood. My dad obviously started his own repair station as well. And then, it was cool to see the operator side. I learned a tremendous amount being an operator. And basically what that helped me learn was, how do I grow a maintenance company from the view of the operator to create it and to bring the thing that I wanted to see that I couldn't find. So the communication, the visuals on like hours worked, where your airplane is, on-time performance, objectively measuring within our own maintenance culture. Those are things I think I wanted to see that I couldn't really find consistently. So it really, I think all along I've always been an entrepreneur, but I've always gravitated to the maintenance side of the industry, just because my family's been in it. And so I think it's even cool that I'm back on the maintenance side, because that's what my family's been involved with, all their lives as well.
Where do you want to take this? I mean, you got 20, you want 30 mechanics more. You're working on, what airplanes are you working on now?
Our current focus is, we say no a lot. The worst thing we can do is say we can do everything, because we have mechanics and we don't perform or live up to our on-time performance standards, right? Our biggest focus now are the Citation jet platforms, Lear jets, Bombardier Challenger 300 series, 600 series, even Beech Premiers and Bizjets. And that's kind of our core competency right now. That's what we're focused on, what we do really well at, and we're geared towards. We also acquired a FAA EASA repair station in Miami in February. Their focus is they were a 6-year-old business that did heavy commercial metal component repairs. So think if it's any metallic component on any aircraft, they can figure out a repair for it. They have engineering. We acquired that because of their in-depth technical knowledge of the commercial side. It was an easy transition to help us support the Bizjet side as well. So they're growing down there on the commercial side, as well as helping us with business jet component repair. They're a full machine shop. That's been part of our growth too, down in South Florida as a second location. Where does Dallas go? It'd be awesome to get settled in the new facility. Get recurring customer partnerships with other 135s. Our focus is other operators, because our business is really built for operators, by operators. And then hopefully build another hangar and keep growing here at Dallas Executive Airport, because it's a metropolitan airport that no one really knows about, super close to the city, that's really underutilized. And airport real estate and property is really hard to find in the DFW region, let alone North Texas. We are seeking more MRO capacity, just not here, but the space is very limited. And so the fact that we have a brand new building built for maintenance is extremely rare. Most companies, and even ours previously, would be, you get an old transient hangar that you have to make work for maintenance. And there's a big difference when you build something for a specific function. And so I'm hoping we stay busy in this building, take care of our team, and then start thinking about, we're looking at other acquisitions of other MROs, other businesses, but then also think about how do we grow our physical footprint at the airport as well.
What surprised you the most about opening an MRO?
How awesome people are. We touched our first plane in May, which is not that long ago. We just passed our 100th aircraft. And the team we brought in has blown me away on how fast we've adapted, how fast we've learned from mistakes, because of course we make mistakes, how process oriented we are. And I think we have the benefit of being a clean slate. So we can really create professional processes, do it the right way from the start. And even our Miami acquisition, how fast they've evolved within our values. That surprised me. And it's exciting because it's all happened within months, but it feels like it's been a lot longer.
How long is this? Obviously you're a very young company. How long had the build the MRO process? How long did it take you from start to finish?
So we got, I raised capital from awesome investors end of last year. We kind of touched our first plane only in May. So we spent about 4 or 5 months making sure we staffed it 7 days a week, developed every process imaginable, had strong ERP systems. we were bulletproof on process because I didn't want to look like a startup. And then we allowed us to touch the first airplane. So I think we were really hard on ourselves versus opening and getting planes in day one. We waited months until we were really ready for it. But all this year, this is all happening this year.
What challenges did you have getting it open? I mean, obviously, like you said, you're in Dallas, competitive airport. Finding space on airports is tough.
The space was probably the simplest because the city of Dallas, the airport managers, have been very supportive and really helped us. FBO called Jet Access was a great partner. They put the legwork in on developing these buildings and coming down here. So I think just luck. When I was looking around at the time, there was very little good opportunities out there, let alone a brand new hangar going in for maintenance. And so I think the little bit of luck goes a long way. Having great partners like them, the support of the city to say, hey, we need a jet MRO at this airport, and we want to do it at scale because most MROs are shoved into these tiny hangars. Was again a little bit of luck, but it worked out well, and I think we've embraced it. We're growing, but having folks support us around us, other MROs supported us. I think that's been key to success as well. It wasn't a battle.
How are you getting the word out? I mean, obviously, new company, startup MRO, south of Dallas. How are you getting the word out to the operators around or most of the operators kind of the Dallas area? Or are they local or are they coming
everywhere? I mean, we target everyone in the U.S. as people will relocate their aircraft for proper maintenance. It's kind of like, well, do people want to lose a day of travel to get a plane here? And we get fuel credits, but if we can save them a week of timeline because we work weekends, things like that, the ROI on relocation becomes very feasible, and operating at this airport is extremely cheaper than most large airports. The biggest thing is our marketing strategy. We're very strong on digital, but value add. We want to really talk about why we started the business, what we're trying to change, and how we treat mechanics. And I think a lot of people gravitate to it, and people have been hearing about us more and more. We just did our first conference at MBAA, and there was a big pink booth that was us. And it got a lot of attention of what we're trying to change in the industry. Because we're not trying to change maintenance, we're trying to elevate how we treat mechanics, right? So I think just telling our story of what we're trying to do, not saying that everyone else is wrong, because we love the other MROs and are super supportive of them. We're just trying to do things a little different in the hopes that some people learn from it and it has a bigger impact than just what we're doing in our business. So I think telling that story online at conferences, I really try to get our mechanics out and about. So I send them to customers to visit. We don't embrace a traditional sales strategy. Our production floor talks to our customer. They bid projects. It's very obtuse. Most people have salespeople manage or a CSR manage in between the floor and the customer. We cut that out and said our production floor will have direct access to the customer. The customer's going to appreciate knowing exactly what's going on.
I love it. It's interesting that no CSRs. They bid the projects. But you brought up a good point, too, as to the amount of turnover an MRO has, it's directly proportional to the costs. New mechanics are expensive. The learning curve is steep. The penalty the customer pays is pretty significant. Do you see other people, not that you're watching your competition, you're more focused on what you're doing, but do you see other people kind of looking at you going, what are you guys doing down there? And disrupting things a little bit?
I think companies are listening, especially they see how fast we can grow and recruit. I think there's some that do it well, but I think we're far from doing it well at scale to support how Bizjet operators are operating today. Like I said, they're operating like airlines, and we're nowhere close to that level of maturity at scale. And so that's what we're trying to do, coming from the commercial airline side or knowing how mature that MRO process is. We have a long way to go. So we're getting there, but we're so far behind. There's a lot of work to be done amongst multiple communication fronts, and a lot of things need to change. And the hard part is aviation is a very old school industry, right? It doesn't change much, and people are reluctant to change. I'm okay trying something new and failing. And a lot of people aren't. And change is very scary to them. So I think hopefully we get people open-minded to trying things and changing. That's going to be the hardest thing. Like I'm sure it is with any, team or industry that's highly regulated, that's been doing it a certain way for a while. But that's the hope, is at least we start, maybe take a step in that right direction of just trying a little thing different. And then I think it will snowball into more changes, but that takes time.
So you're an entrepreneur. You got a young business. You've been an entrepreneur. You can't do it alone. Who do you reach out to? Who are your friends in the industry, or who do you reach out to when you've got investors? Who do you reach out to when you need help?
I mean, everyone. My dad taught me this, and my brother taught me this. Aviation's a massive industry, small community. So I think over the years, I've always tried to meet someone new every day. That's one goal of mine. But two is really focus on the relationship. So like I'm never the smartest person in the room, but I want to have the relationships with the most people in the room, because I think I really appreciate everyone else's experience and knowledge. And so I think the biggest thing is I've had a network of other MROs who most would look at us and go, you guys are competitors, help us, lend us equipment locally, give us advice. I reached out to every MRO owner or leader that I knew before I opened to let them know we were opening, purely out of respect, and just give them the courtesy of, look, I'm not opening this to take your customers or people. I really believe in trying to do something different in the MRO space. I know it's uncomfortable, but I want to be upfront. Let's just have open lines of communication if we ever step on your toes. And I was very sensitive to the market I was entering based off the previous relationships. And it's been well. We have gotten a lot of help from other folks. I think my brother's a huge asset. Obviously, he's local and has much more experience than me. So I call him a lot for certain stuff. They do a lot of our engineering. It's been cool to be able to talk to him about, hey, I'm doing this on this side of the business. What do you think? A little bit of it is you're crazy, because maintenance is a different animal, but it's been nice to have the resources. I'm in a group called YPO, Young Presence Organization. I've been leveraging that network. A lot of aviation leaders are in that organization. They've been very helpful, willing to help, give us feedback, even from the customer point of view. So I think my network's been a huge help, just for my sanity as well, but also with just different ideas and support. I actually keep a list of people who have checked on me just to see how things are going. I call it a list of receipts, and they're more good than bad, but I keep the bad ones too. But the good ones it's pretty phenomenal how many people have reached out with the new endeavor and have just checked on me, said, you need anything, and expect nothing in return. I think that's pretty cool to have a network like that where people actually do that.
It's a great industry. So where do people find you now? You're down, what airport? You're south of Dallas, and what airport?
Dallas Executive Airport, KRBD, and it's a hidden gem of Dallas, but great 2-runway airport, just got redone, cheap operating expense, brand new facility here. We love it. And it's an awesome kind of unknown gem of Dallas. If you go to jetsmro.com, you can find our either Miami location or Dallas location, and hopefully more to come depending on what happens with our M&A activity. But that's where we're at. Welcome visitors. So if anyone wants to come visit, open door. We like to have folks here. We like to show off the team and kind of what we're trying to do.
I love it. Thanks for coming on, Suresh. Best of luck to you as you guys continue down that path.
Yeah, appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on.
It's a great story. It's a great story, and I'm looking forward to following your success.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.